What if your brain has been lying to you this whole time? Welcome to the Personal Evolution Podcast, where we unlock the code to your predictive brain with neuroscience secrets from Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett. This isn't a theory, it's your weapon to master your mindset. John and Lisa will force your growth mindset to evolve or self-destruct. Subscribe now before your brain tricks you into scrolling elsewhere. Your mind will never be the same after this. Welcome, everyone. You are really in for something fascinating today.
Absolutely. We're doing a deep dive.
We are. We've been digging into this incredible conversation with Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, the neuroscientist.
Oh, from the Diary of a CEO channel. She's brilliant.
Totally. And her whole thing is making this complex brain science stuff, usable for everyday life.
Which is perfect if you're curious like us, but maybe don't have time to wade through dense academic pages.
Exactly. We want to distill those key insights for you, make them clear, accessible.
And what's really cool about her work, especially in this chat, is how it flips some common ideas about our brains right on their head.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. The big idea, the predictive brain.
Right.
Now, I think most people, myself included, usually think it's like you see something, you hear something, then your brain reacts. Simple cause and effect.
That's the intuitive way, isn't it? The sort of sense then react model.
Yeah.
But Dr. Barrett argues, pretty convincingly I think, that it's actually the other way around, mostly. Our brains are fundamentally prediction machines.
Well, with sure machines constantly.
Constantly. Based on everything you've ever experienced, your brain is always making guesses about what's going to happen next, what you'll see, what you'll hear.
So it's not just reacting, it's anticipating, even before the sensory stuff hits.
Precisely. And it's tied to action.
Right.
Your brain prepares your body for an action, and that preparation generates the predictions about what sensory input you'll get because of that action.
Whoa, okay. Action first, then sense. That's different.
It is a big shift. Think about listening to me talk right now.
Okay.
Your brain isn't just passively soaking up words. It's actively predicting my next word, the likely end of my sentence, based on, years of conversations.
Right. Like you can sometimes finish someone's sentence.
Exactly that. Or think about being really thirsty. You gulp down water and you feel relief almost instantly.
Yeah,
right?
I mean.
But physiologically, it takes, 20 minutes maybe for that water to actually rehydrate your body properly.
Huh. So that immediate relief isn't real.
Well, it's a real feeling, but it's driven by the prediction. Your brain predicts that drinking water will fix the thirst based on past experience, so it generates that feeling of relief before the physiological change. The expectation shapes the experience.
Mind blown. Okay. The brain is literally creating the feeling based on a prediction.
Yep. And think about imagining things. Close your eyes. Picture biting an apple.
Okay, got it. Crisp, maybe a bit tart.
Brain scans show activity in the same areas that would light up if you were actually seeing and biting it. Your brain is running a simulation based on prediction.
So even our imagination runs on this predictive engine.
Seems like it. Or, your mouth watering before food even arrives. Brain predicting food, prepping the body. Or the classic coffee example. If you drink coffee every morning,
Guilty.
your brain starts to anticipate the caffeine hitting your system. It might even slightly adjust your blood vessels before you drink it.
Really?
Yeah. So if you then skip the coffee.
Ah, the headache. I get it now. My brain was prepped for something that didn't arrive.
Exactly. It's reacting to the missing prediction. Or waking up like moments before your alarm clock.
Got these all the time.
Another prediction. Even muscle memory in sports or exercise.
Yeah.
It's your brain getting super efficient at predicting the next move. The right muscle firing sequence.
Makes movements smooth, automatic.
Right. Which is why interval training, where things are less predictable, can be so effective for fitness. It constantly forces your brain to update its predictions, which takes energy.
Okay, this is huge. So if the brain is always predicting, how does this change how we understand something like, say, trauma or mental health challenges?
Yeah, this is where it gets really profound, I think. If predictions are built from past experiences, then really intense or traumatic past events can create incredibly strong, persistent predictions.
Predictions about danger.
Often, yes. Someone who's been through trauma might have a brain that's constantly predicting threat, even in situations that seem safe to others. That feeling of anxiety or fear isn't necessarily a direct reaction to the present, but a prediction based on the past bubbling up.
So the past is literally shaping how we experience the present through these predictions.
Exactly. And Dr. Barrett makes this crucial point. Trauma isn't just the objective event. It's the event plus how your brain interprets it based on your life history, your learned predictions.
Interpretation matters.
Hugely. She gives this example of a young woman, Maria, whose cultural background meant certain physical interactions weren't initially coded as traumatic by her brain.
Okay.
But later, exposure to different cultural narratives, like things she saw on Oprah, actually led her to reinterpret those past experiences. And that reinterpretation then led to trauma symptoms.
Wow. So the meaning we make changes the experience, even retroactively.
It really shows how context and meaning-making shape everything. And it links to therapy, right? A lot of therapy aims to help people recontextualize or find new meaning in past events, which can change the predictions they carry forward.
This actually feels hopeful. Like if our brains are predicting and we're making meaning, maybe we have more say in things than we realize, more agency.
That's exactly the takeaway. Understanding this predictive process gives you potentially a lot more agency.
Yeah.
You're not just passively receiving the world, you're actively constructing your reality through meaning.
Like the cup example she used.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
A cup isn't inherently just for drinking. It depends on what you do with it, right? Use it as a vase, it becomes a vase in that moment, meaning emerges from the interaction.
So meaning isn't fixed in the object, it's in what we do with it.
Exactly. And get this, even the feeling of solidity is an interaction between your body and the object, interpreted by your brain.
Wild.
And the key thing for change is, our current experiences feed into future predictions. So you can intentionally shape future predictions by changing what you do now.
Okay, so how? How do we actually use this? What are the strategies?
Well, she contrasts psychotherapy, which often works on changing the meaning of the past with creating new experiences in the present.
Right.
So instead of just thinking a cup could hold flowers, actually putting flowers in it gives your brain new data, a new experience to build a new prediction from.
Actively create new evidence for the brain.
You got it. And for fears, like that bee phobia you mentioned,
Still working on it?
the idea is dosing with prediction error, gradually exposing yourself in ways that prove the brain's danger prediction wrong.
So not jumping into a swarm of bees.
Definitely not. Maybe start with pictures, then see one through a window, then maybe be near one that's far away. Each step provides evidence that contradicts the fear of prediction.
That's basically exposure therapy, isn't it?
It is. It's learning through prediction error. But, and this is important, learning, taking in that error, uses energy. It has a metabolic cost.
Ah, so if you're already drained.
Exactly. If someone's dealing with depression, anxiety, chronic stress, things that often involve metabolic challenges, they might literally have fewer resources, less energy, to take in those errors and update their predictions effectively.
That connects the mental and the physical so directly, the brain-body connection.
Absolutely. Which leads to her concept of body budgeting. The brain's main job, she argues, isn't thinking, it's regulating your body's resources. Glucose, salt, oxygen, all that stuff. Managing the budget.
Like an internal accountant.
Kind of. And symptoms of depression, for instance, can be seen as the brain trying to cut costs when the budget is severely depleted. Fatigue, loss of interest, these conserve energy.
And stress drains the budget faster.
Big time. Especially social stress. It makes our bodies less efficient at using energy. Our social world directly impacts our physiology.
That's powerful.
She shared a really personal story about her daughter's depression, how they initially missed the signs, but eventually understood it partly through this lens of metabolic issues, body budgeting problems.
And she mentioned a possible link with birth control.
Yeah, she pointed to research suggesting a correlation for some young women between hormonal birth control, which affects metabolic regulators like estrogen, and an increased risk of depression. It's complex, obviously, but highlights the metabolic angle.
That's definitely something worth knowing.
And the way they supported her daughter focused squarely on restoring that body budget. It was multifaceted.
Like what?
Things like limiting screens and social media, less unpredictable input, better sleep hygiene. A strict sleep schedule is crucial for restoration.
Makes sense.
Also, really focusing on nutrient-dense food, exercise, specifically interval training to boost metabolic flexibility, and targeted supplements. Though always with medical advice, of course.
And social connection.
Absolutely critical. Things like dedicated family time, real connection. Because our mood, Dr. Barrett suggests, is like a barometer for our body budget. Feeling low, maybe it's a signal to conserve. Feeling good, you've got resources to engage.
So mood isn't just random, it's information about our internal state.
Pretty much. And that social piece is huge for regulation. Studies show people with strong social support recover better from health crises. Even things like how efficiently mothers and babies metabolize glucose when they're attached.
Wow. We regulate each other physiologically.
It seems so. Even small things matter, like consciously being supportive or clearly asking for what you need helps maintain those connections that buffer our systems.
We are fundamentally social creatures, right down to our metabolism.
Definitely. And just briefly on a couple of other points she touched on, forcing a smile. The evidence that makes you much happier is pretty weak, apparently.
Good to know. And ADHD.
Her view is similar to the trauma point. It's more a description of behavior in a context, not necessarily an explanation of an inherent deficit. Societal expectations about focus play a huge role.
Context is key again.
Right. And when asked about meaning, spirituality, she's quite clear she's an atheist. Doesn't see the brain's complexity as needing a designer.
So where does she find meaning?
In contribution, basically. Leaving the world a bit better. Her legacy, she feels, is in the students she's trained. The ideas shared, helping people live more intentionally by understanding their own minds.
That's a powerful legacy.
And finally, she tackled this interesting question about living without striving, without attaining things. She reframed it slightly.
How so?
She suggested maybe the issue isn't striving itself, but attachment to a fixed identity making us unhappy. Identity, in her view, isn't some fixed core. It's tied to what we do in the present moment.
So focus on the doing, not the fixed I am.
Exactly. I am what I do now, influenced by memory and context, rather than I am defined only by what I did. It keeps the sense of agency alive.
Yes, has been, wow, just so much to think about. Understanding the predictive brain really does change the game.
It totally does. And the big takeaway for you listening, we think, is that understanding his predictive nature, recognizing you're an active meaning maker, well, it gives you more leverage, more potential control over your feelings, your life, than you might have thought.
It's about realizing that agency you have in shaping your experience. Really empowering stuff.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We really hope it's given you some fascinating new ways to think about your own mind.
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to exploring more with you next time. Until then, keep digging deeper.
Well, guys, that's the end of this episode. What do you think? Leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your opinion. If you enjoyed it, give us a like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss future updates. Thanks for listening and see you soon.